The golden age of America has only just begun.
Hello everybody, Atlas here. It's been a truly insane last couple of weeks since we last talked, but I suppose as Lenin put it, there are decades where nothing happens and there are weeks where decades happen. Yesterday, President Donald J. Trump addressed the United States Congress, and honestly, I think it really encapsulates the absolute chaos of the past 6 weeks pretty well. I mean, it had everything from Elon Musk, our Redditor-in-Chief, being as charming as ever, to unapologetic fascism and even a Democratic congressman showing a spine for once. Apparently, this was the longest presidential address in history, which isn't super surprising given Trump's mental state.
Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
Joe Biden's cognitive decline is widely talked about. Less so are the declining mental faculties of Donald Trump. I'm gonna be honest, Trump's brain is really starting to turn to mush, and you can tell because his speech was just slop.
$8 million for making mice transgender. This is real.
Fascist, narcissistic, lie-filled slop.
And to my fellow citizens, America is back.
Oh yeah, we are so back.
We have accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years.
I mean, he's right though. In 43 days, he managed to destroy our overseas alliances, announce tariffs that are going to make the cost of living crisis explode, deregulated the FAA, fired essential nuclear weapons workers, tried to destroy FEMA, instituted sweeping cuts and deregulation across our most essential federal agencies, restricted freedom of the press, and weakened regulations on the dumping of raw sewage into our water supply. So, I'd say he's making incredible time with his nation collapse speedrun.
To further combat inflation, we will not only be reducing the cost of energy, but will be ending the flagrant waste of taxpayer dollars.
It's really interesting with him putting out these Tea Party era talking points about government efficiency and spending when, during his last administration, he added $8 trillion to the national debt. Not like the national debt is really something all too important, but he's also not cutting government spending in any efficient way at all. They could, cut the absolutely gargantuan defense budget, but that wouldn't please his friends at Lockheed Martin, right? He doesn't give a shit about government efficiency. He just wants massive tax cuts for the obscenely wealthy. There's this pretty cool moment where Democratic Congressman Al Green actually stands up and confronts Trump during the speech.
Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order.
I mean, wow. A Democrat with a backbone? I never thought I'd see the day. He even refuses to sit down when they threaten to kick him out of the chamber, which is pretty respectable. I believe he kept repeating something about him not having any mandate to cut Medicaid, though it's really hard to hear him in the recording. All the other Democrats are just sitting there holding their signs in silence, too scared to do anything besides hold up some signs. It's called civil fucking disobedience. Nobody ever got any rights by just appeasing their oppressor. But no. Democrats prefer to just hold up their cute little signs and boo him like he's the other team's kicker at a football game. It's like they're wagging their fingers at Adolf fucking Hitler and saying,
"Swiper, no swiping! Swiper, no swiping! Swiper, no swiping!"
and expecting him to just walk off screen disappointedly.
In fact, it has been stated by many that the first month of our presidency, it's our presidency, is the most successful in the history of our nation. And what makes it even more impressive is that, do you know who number 2 is? George Washington.
He also calls his first 40 days in office the best of any president, with the second being George Washington. Maybe that's true if you have some sort of vendetta against chickens. Folks, no one has done bird flu better than me, folks. Soon the whole woke egg industry will be eliminated. No more omelets, no more boiled eggs. We're going vegan, folks. It's good for the planet.
And I have stopped all government censorship and brought back free speech in America. It's back.
Yeah, dude, you definitely saved free speech in America when you started restricting the reporting abilities of the White House press corps, or when you started targeting students protesting about the genocide being conducted by a foreign government. He did it, guys! He saved free speech! The problem with this slop speech is that I have to pick my battles carefully here. He lies constantly. If I were to stop and refute every single lie he told, this video would be longer than the address itself.
Within hours of taking the oath of office, I declared a national emergency on our southern border, and I deployed the U.S. military and Border Patrol to repel the invasion of our country. And what a job they've done. As a result, illegal border crossings last month were by far the lowest ever recorded.
Trump brags about illegal border crossings being the lowest they've ever been, which is obviously incorrect. And even if illegal border crossings were the lowest they've ever been, that wouldn't mean anything significant. If you're trying to stop the influx of drugs coming into the country, the vast majority of drugs are smuggled in through legal ports of entry by American citizens. And if you're trying to stop undocumented immigrants from entering the country, which would do virtually nothing to help the average American, most undocumented immigrants just overstay their visas. They enter legally and just don't leave when their visa is up. The wall isn't anything but a stupid fascist publicity stunt. And this idea that, like, all these people entering the U.S. are drug dealers and criminals and cartel members is so ridiculous. Statistically speaking, undocumented immigrants are less likely to commit crimes than the average American. But fascism isn't a reasonable ideology. Fascists pin all their problems on scapegoats who have no control over their material conditions, instead of, like, the ultra-wealthy who continue to eat away at their wages. You know, watching this speech, Trump really loves moving around on that podium like a homosexual. He rants about wokeness and DEI, but he's a gay icon.
And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me, and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy, or to make them stand, or smile, or applaud. Nothing I can do.
Here he rants about how Democrats would never applaud him for what he did. Folks, these Democrats just hate me. I could crash every single plane in the sky and they still wouldn't cheer for me. I could kill every chicken in America and pump all the raw sewage into our water supply and they still wouldn't like me. What does a guy have to do to get some applause around here, folks?
It's very sad. Upon taking office, I imposed an immediate freeze on all federal hiring, a freeze on all new federal regulations, and a freeze on all foreign aid.
I cut all our foreign aid and gave all the money we saved to Israel.
I terminated the ridiculous Green New Scam. I withdrew from the unfair Paris Climate Accord, which was costing us trillions of dollars that other countries were not paying. I withdrew from the corrupt World Health Organization. And I also withdrew from the anti-American UN Human Rights Council.
He brags about ending the Green New Deal, which was an idea that never came to fruition. Brags about leaving the corrupt World Health Organization, which did such corrupt things like preventing pandemics and the spread of diseases. What a bunch of woke slop that was, huh, guys? He brags about leaving the Anti-American Human Rights Council. I mean, he's not wrong. There's nothing more American than committing countless heinous war crimes. Stupid liberals wouldn't get it.
And importantly, we ended the last administration's insane electric vehicle mandate.
We ended the electrical vehicle mandate, folks. Instead, we're investing in public transportation. Clearly, electric vehicles are an inefficient solution to the climate crisis, so we're making every city in America walkable instead.
We've ended the tyranny of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion policies all across the entire federal government and indeed the private sector and our military.
After firing our most woke pilots, we've been able to crash planes and destroy the federal government at a rate never seen before in the history of our country, folks.
And our country will be woke no longer.
You know what's really funny about this whole anti-woke crusade the right is partaking in? The term woke is supposed to mean waking up to the injustices and imbalances in our society. So, being anti-woke is like being proud of yourself for taking the blue pill in the Matrix, for going back to sleep and doing exactly what the man wants you to. And it's doubly ironic because so many of these sweaty nerds who are obsessed with woke are also the right-wing incels who subscribe to the whole red pill ideology.
I also signed an executive order to ban men from playing in women's sports.
Incredible, guys. He saved America. He saved America from the 12 trans women playing in high school sports. Oh, you, Matt Walsh spotted.
What I have just described is only a small fraction of the common sense revolution that is now, because of us, sweeping the entire world.
Ah, yes. The common sense revolution we've started by making such common sense decisions as dumping raw sewage into the water supply, by making common sense decisions like firing nuclear weapons workers and then having to rehire them a day later when we realize it's super dangerous not to have them. Common sense like starting a three-front trade war with our biggest trading partners. Common sense is truly back in America. Thank you, Mr. President.
As you know, we inherited from the last administration an economic catastrophe and an inflation nightmare.
An inflation nightmare we decided to fix by ending woke or something. Or putting tariffs on Mexico and Canada. This is such total slop. I don't know how much longer I can watch this. And I don't think the Democrats can watch it any longer either. A few of them are pouring out the door now. That'll teach them. Looking away when they see fascism like always, right? Am I right, guys? I do agree with them, though. I'm not watching any more of this slop. So that absolutely blew. Except for Al Green. That was a great moment. It was cool to see someone willing to do something more than just hold up a sign silently in resistance to fascism. Obviously, Trump is more of a rambler than ever. This is definitely not peak Trump. He fell off. I think Trump's getting sloppier. I think the whole conservative propaganda apparatus has just become sloppier too. And I think that's a really scary sign because that means the mask is really starting to peel off here. That's not even just on the Republican side either. Democrats are becoming less and less combative, and it feels like some of them have just resigned themselves to this fate. Billionaire CEOs even, normally so concerned with their appearances, are starting to show their true face. Fascism is here. You might be asking, well, why aren't there concentration camps? Why aren't there gas chambers then? Fascism doesn't happen overnight. Genocide doesn't happen overnight. There's actually a 10-step process. See, if you put a frog into a pot of boiling water, it immediately tries to jump out, obviously. But if you put a frog in a warm or even cold pot of water and then slowly raise the temperature, the frog doesn't jump out. It's a cautionary tale about what we normalize and what happens when we don't pay attention to things that aren't as obvious. Ask yourself, if you lived in Nazi Germany, what would you have done? Because now, just like with the Palestinian genocide last year, the ongoing one, by the way, you might have the opportunity to answer that question. Will you stand by and watch it happen? Or will you stand up to the fascists? That's not to say panic, that's not to say do anything insane. All I'm saying that is if you haven't been already, start paying attention. Look after your community, your family and friends. Look after yourself. And think about that question I asked you. Stay safe out there. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you found it informative, please consider subscribing, leaving a like on this video, or commenting. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.